命を捨てに来たか。
ジオナの特製ドリンクじゃ。
大ウルコ
神里流消滅。
裁きの雷稲光すなわち永遠なり。
やはりダメだ。
見切りました。
私は甘く。
この件はわかるかい。
雪を前へ。反省しなさいよバラ。
裁きの雷
失
見切りました。
礼。雪を前へ。桜吹雪。
歌よにとな無我の境地。
踊りなさい。ジオナの特製ドリンク。
この件はわかるかい。
神里流消滅。
逃げ道はありません。ここより弱滅の時。
桜吹雪。反省しなさいよバラ。
歌よにここより弱滅の時。
踊りなさい。にゃっそれそれ。
逃げ
雪を前へ。神里流消滅。
稲光すなわち永遠なり。
私は甘く見ないで。
他の奥義逃がさない。
踊りなさい。
裁きの雷ここより弱滅の時。そこ陛下の恩寵。
雪を前へ。私は甘く。
歌よにとな
反省しなさいよバラさん。失礼。それそれ。雪を前へ。
裁きの雷無我の境地。
私は甘く見ないで。飲みすぎだよ。
見切りました。
失礼。
他の奥義
取った。
逃げ道はありません。稲光すなわち永遠なり。そこ
ジオナの特製ドリンクじゃ。私は甘く見。踊りなさい。
裁きの雷
大ウルコ桜吹雪。
無我の境地。
私は甘く見ないで。
歌よにとな
桜吹雪。雪を前へ。それ。
稲光すなわち永遠なり。見切りました。裁きの雷。ここより弱滅の時。やったってそこ逃げ道はありません。
踊りなさい。
稲光すなわち永遠なり。そっひゅっ
神里流透滅。
ここより弱滅の時。
雪を舞う。
見切りました。
この剣はわかるかい。
飲みすぎだよ。
雨描きがたし。
無我の境地。やって裁きの雷。やって
リオナの特製ドリンクじゃ。
歌よ錦となれ。
見切りました。稲光すなわち永遠なり。そっそこだ。
神里流透滅。この剣はわかるかい。
甘えたにゃ。飲みすぎだよ。
雨描きがたし。
逃げ道はありません。
失礼。大ウルコ。
無我の境地。見切りました。
雨描きがたし。股間奥義。
リオナの特製ドリンクじゃ。
逃げ道はありません。ここより弱滅の時。そっ
桜吹雪。やっ
私は甘く。
歌よ錦となれ。
ターゲットロックオフ。
踊りなさい。
裁きの雷。
発生しなさいよ。
神里流透滅。
無我の境地。やっ逃げ道はありません。ここより弱滅の時。
Right, mic's on. Let's quickly look at the team. So I tried to make my Ayaka as free-to-play friendly as possible. As you can see here, V-stats should be pretty attainable by most free-to-play players. I think most people get at least 60 to 120. That's because of Festering Desire. And then there's the cryo damage bonus. So let's see. This is a pretty free-to-play weapon at level 80. Artifacts are just going to be, in my case, it's just a bit of a mishmash, but you should get very similar artifacts, especially if you've been playing for a very long time. I can't do anything about the constellations, but that's just what it is. And of course, this is a max level Ayaka, which can also be obtainable except for these two talents. So what I did in this run is I actually made these two characters a lot weaker to compensate, but before we get to them, let's just quickly look at the Raiden Shogun. Normally she has like 3000 attack, but because I used the Skyward Spine at about level 70, I thought that this could be very comparable to like the Catch, which is a free-to-play weapon, and then you'll have like more or less roughly the same base but less energy recharge. And of course the Skyward Spine doesn't really work that well with the Raiden Shogun because this part here about normal and charge attacks doesn't actually work with her elemental burst, so you don't have that effect at all. The only thing that we get is a bit of an improved crit rate and a bit of improved attack speed. The artifacts are the standard ones that I've run elsewhere, but we can just quickly go through them. Constellations, again C6, and then talents are pretty much obtainable. Here is Diona. She is pretty cool. Yours will be most likely be built a lot better than mine, but here are her stats. This is the weapon I use, so she's basically just a heal and shield bot. And then here's a bunch of random artifacts we threw on. None of those are not really any significant. And there is the icy pulse and mixture. And then of course your Xingqiu will obviously be at level 80 or 90. You'll have a lot better weapons and energy recharge rates. You will have of course better artifacts, and you will also have better talents than mine does. So I tried to keep this. Hopefully this is free to play friendly enough. If it's not, please let me know where we should put in a nerf or two. But I think what the desired level of DPS output should be obtainable by most players. And this shows you that you can comfortably, mostly like within a 1 minute 30, clear the Spiral Abyss. I think it's better if you do it on the first floor. The Magu Kenki is a bit tricky for this team. But what's cool about this team is, as you saw, it's like a constant interruption team. And Raiden Shogun definitely doesn't ruin the perma-freeze as much as I thought it would. So that's quite cool. And if you play this correctly, then, especially with Ayaka's E, you can constantly disrupt enemies, and then with Diona and Xingqiu, you'll be able to freeze them. So there was quite a nice couple of examples. Overall, I'm quite happy with how this team went, how this build went, and let me know what you think.